Welcome to Midnight Grove, where stories uncover the magic hidden in everyday places. Tonight's tale, The Postcard Club, follows Lucas, a new kid in town who stumbles upon a collection of mysterious postcards filled with clues. As he teams up with Emma and Theo to solve the mystery, he discovers not just a hidden tradition, but a place where he truly belongs. Settle in, relax, and let this adventure take you on a journey of discovery, friendship, and the joy of leaving something behind for the next person to find. Chapter 1: The Mysterious Postcards. Lucas didn't want to be in Maplewood. He didn't care that it was a charming small town, or that their new house had a big backyard for exploring. None of that mattered. All Lucas knew was that he had been forced to leave behind his best friend, his favorite pizza place, and everything that felt like home. And now he was here, a town where he knew no one, where everything felt too quiet, and where the biggest event of the summer was a farmer's market. It had only been a week, and Lucas was already bored out of his mind. But that was before he found the postcards, the library escape. The Maplewood Public Library was old, the kind of old that smelled like dusty books and had a grandfather clock that ticked way too loudly in the corner. Lucas's mom had forced him to come, claiming he needed to get out of the house, but he wasn't interested in checking out books. Instead, he wandered aimlessly, dragging his fingers along the spines of novels he had no intention of reading. Then, in the farthest corner of the library, past the shelves of encyclopedias and old newspapers, he found a wooden card catalogue. Lucas had seen pictures of these in history books, tiny drawers filled with index cards, the way people used to look up books before computers. But when he pulled one open instead of library records, he found a stack of old postcards. His curiosity sparked. The top postcard was yellowed with age, its edges slightly curled. On the front was a picture of Maplewood's town square, a black and white image of the clock tower, the bakery, and the little park bench where an old man was feeding pigeons. Lucas flipped it over. The best view of the sunset isn't from the hill. Look lower. PC. Lucas frowned. Who was PC? And why was this postcard hidden in a drawer? The clue. Lucas dug through the drawer and found more postcards, each with a different picture of Maplewood, each signed PC. Some were old landmarks, like the bakery and the town's first schoolhouse. Others showed hidden spots like a bridge over a creek, or a treehouse nestled high in the branches of an oak tree. And every single one had a riddle on the back. Lucas's heart pounded. Was this a treasure hunt? He pulled out the sunset postcard again. The best view of the sunset isn't from the hill. Look lower. Lucas had no idea what that meant, but suddenly Maplewood didn't seem so boring anymore. A failed attempt. Lucas spent the rest of the day trying to figure out the clue. His first thought? The highest point in town was Maplewood Hill, so maybe look lower meant somewhere underneath it. So after dinner, he grabbed his bike and rode to the hill, searching for anything unusual. Nothing. He checked behind trees, under benches, even inside a weird metal box that just turned out to be an old electrical unit. Still nothing. Frustrated, he sat on a bench at the base of the hill, watching as the sky turned orange and pink. Maybe this was a waste of time. Then movement. Lucas squinted at the playground just below the hill, where a wooden climbing structure stood. A group of kids sat on top of the monkey bars, laughing and pointing toward the sunset. Lucas's eyes widened. The best view wasn't from the hill. It was from below it on the playground. His heart pounded. Had PC known about this? And more importantly, was this just the first clue? The girl who knew something. The next morning, Lucas returned to the library determined to search for more clues. But when he got to the wooden drawer, he wasn't alone. A girl about his age stood there, flipping through the postcards. Lucas froze. Had she found them too? The girl glanced up, raising an eyebrow. "Are you looking for something?" Lucas hesitated. Just these." He gestured to the postcards. She tilted her head. "You're new here." Lucas sighed. "Is it that obvious?" The girl smirked. "Pretty much." Lucas hesitated. "Do you know what these are?" The girl's expression flickered. "Maybe." Lucas narrowed his eyes. She knew something. "I'm Lucas," he said, watching her closely. She hesitated, then finally said, "Emma." Lucas took a deep breath. "Emma, do you know who PC is?" Emma's smirk widened. "Maybe," she repeated. Then she picked up a postcard, flipped it over and slid it across the table. Lucas grabbed it, his pulse racing. The picture showed an old stone bridge stretching over a narrow creek. The back read, "Not all bridges are for crossing. PC." Lucas looked up at Emma, his heart pounding. "What does it mean?" Emma leaned in, lowering her voice. "I don't know." Lucas frowned. "But you said—" She grinned. "I don't know what it means, but I do know one thing." "What?" Emma's eyes gleamed. "These postcards, they're a challenge." Lucas's pulse quickened. A challenge. For the first time since moving to Maplewood, a thrill shot through him. Maybe this town wasn't as boring as he thought. Maybe, just maybe, he had just stumbled onto something incredible. Chapter 2, The Bridge That Isn't a Bridge. Lucas had never been great at riddles. Sure, he liked puzzles, and he wasn't bad at escape rooms when his old friends back home invited him along. But these clues, they felt different. It wasn't like solving a crossword puzzle or cracking a secret code on a video game. These were real, hidden, personal. And if Emma was right, if these postcards were some kind of challenge, then someone had left them on purpose. Lucas was going to figure out why. The clue. Lucas and Emma sat on the floor of the library, the postcard spread between them. Not all bridges are for crossing. Emma tapped her fingers on the carpet. "So what do you think?" Lucas exhaled. "I mean, bridges are meant for crossing. That's literally their whole thing." Emma smirked. "Not this one, apparently." Lucas studied the black and white photo again. The bridge in the picture was old, made of crumbling stone stretching over a narrow creek. He didn't recognize it. "Do you know where this is?" he asked. Emma nodded. "Yeah, it's in Maplewood Park. My older brother and I used to ride our bikes there all the time." Lucas's heart picked up. "So we should check it out." Emma grinned, obviously. Lucas felt a spark of excitement. This was happening. A first adventure. Lucas wasn't used to doing things with other people. Back home, he had one best friend, Jacob, and they mostly played video games or rode their bikes to the gas station for snacks. Now walking through Maplewood Park beside Emma, searching for a secret hidden in an old bridge, He felt like he was in some kind of adventure movie. The park stretched along the creek, filled with trees, winding trails, and benches where older folks sat reading newspapers. Emma led the way. "It's just up ahead." And then there it was, the bridge. It looked exactly like the one in the postcard. A stone arch covered in patches of moss stretched over the creek. But there was one major difference. In the photo, the bridge looked brand new. Now it was cracked and falling apart. Lucas frowned. "I don't get it. Why isn't it for crossing?" Emma pointed. "Because it's too dangerous. The town put up those signs a few years ago." Lucas followed her gaze. A rusty metal sign was posted near the bridge's entrance. "Warning, unsafe structure, do not cross." Lucas raised an eyebrow. "Okay, but why would PC send us here?" Emma bit her lip. "I think we're supposed to look under it." Lucas's pulse quickened. This was getting real. The discovery. The bridge wasn't very big, so they crouched near the edge, peering at the underside. For a moment, nothing. Just the sound of the creek trickling below, the damp smell of moss and wet stone. Then Emma gasped, "Lucas, look!" Lucas scrambled closer. On the underside of the bridge, tucked between two stones, was a small metal box. His breath caught. It was real. A real hidden object. Not just an old postcard, not just a silly game. Someone had left this for them to find. Emma reached for it, her fingers brushing against cold metal. The box was wedged tightly between the rocks, but after a few tries, she pulled it free. Lucas stared at it. "Do we open it?" Emma grinned, obviously. She flipped the latch. The lid creaked open. Inside there was a folded piece of paper. Lucas's fingers trembled as he pulled it out and unfolded it. It was another message. "Some things stand still, but inside time keeps moving. PC." Lucas and Emma exchanged a glance. Another clue. Another mystery. And they were just getting started. The clock tower theory. They sat on a nearby bench, rereading the note a dozen times. Emma tapped her foot. "Okay, what stands still but time moves inside?" Lucas thought hard. Watch?" Emma shook her head. "No, watches move." Lucas sighed. "Right, a broken clock." Emma snapped her fingers. "A clock tower." Lucas blinked. "The one in town?" Emma nodded. "The building is old, it stands still, but the clock hands keep moving." Lucas's excitement surged. "That has to be it." Emma grinned. "Then what are we waiting for?" A sudden interruption. As they got up to leave, a voice stopped them. "Hey, what are you two doing down there?" Lucas turned, his stomach twisting. A boy stood on the trail, arms crossed, watching them with narrowed eyes. He was their age, with dark hair, a Maplewood soccer team hoodie, and an expression that said he was on to them. Lucas immediately felt guilty, like they had done something wrong. Emma, on the other hand, looked annoyed. "None of your business, Theo." Theo smirked. "You were messing around under the bridge." Lucas did not like this kid. Emma huffed. "We weren't messing around." Theo raised an eyebrow. "Then what were you doing?" Lucas panicked. They couldn't tell him about the postcards. But before he could come up with an excuse, Theo spotted the metal box in Emma's hands. "What's that?" Emma immediately shoved it behind her back. Nothing. Theo's eyes gleamed with curiosity. "Oh, it's definitely something." Lucas could tell. Theo wanted in, and for some reason that made him nervous. The problem with Theo, on the way to the clock tower, Lucas whispered. "What's Theo's deal?" Emma sighed. "He's my neighbor and a nosy one." Lucas frowned. "You think he'll follow us?" Emma groaned. "Probably. He hates not knowing things." Lucas glanced over his shoulder. Theo was still by the bridge, but he was watching them. Lucas's stomach twisted. This challenge had been fun so far, exciting, mysterious. But now he felt something new. For the first time, it felt like a competition. What's next? As they reached the edge of town, the clock tower loomed ahead. Lucas looked at Emma. "Do you think there's something inside?" Emma smirked. "Only one way to find out." Lucas's pulse quickened. A hidden box under a bridge was one thing, but the clock tower? That felt like a whole new level. And as they approached, he had no idea what they would find inside. Chapter 3, The Clock That Never Stops. Lucas had never broken into a building before. Not that he was planning to break into the clock tower, but as he and Emma stood in front of the heavy wooden doors, it sure felt like that's what they were about to do. The old town clock tower loomed over them, its weathered bricks streaked with age. The hands of the giant clock face kept moving, ticking away the seconds. Emma crossed her arms. "Okay, so how do we get inside?" Lucas hesitated. "You've not been in here before, right?" Emma shook her head. "Nope, it's always locked." Lucas frowned. "Then how are we supposed to find anything?" Emma sighed. "I was hoping you had a plan." Before Lucas could answer, a voice interrupted them. "You two are terrible at being sneaky." Lucas groaned. "Oh no." Emma turned, scowling. "Theo, what do you want?" Theo smirked, stepping closer. "To know why you're suddenly obsessed with the clock tower." Lucas and Emma exchanged a glance. They had tried to shake Theo after leaving the bridge, but clearly he wasn't giving up. Theo tilted his head. "So are you going to let me in on whatever you're doing, or am I going to have to figure it out myself?" Emma exhaled sharply. "Ugh, fine." Lucas blinked. "Wait, what?" Emma looked at Lucas. "We can't get inside the tower without help. Theo's annoying, but he's weirdly good at getting into places he's not supposed to be." Theo grinned. "I am pretty good at that." Lucas hesitated. He didn't trust Theo yet, but they needed him. Finally, he sighed. "Okay, but no telling anyone." Theo smirked. "I wouldn't dream of it." Finding a way in. The clock tower was always locked, but Theo had connections. Specifically, his older brother worked for the town maintenance crew. And guess what his brother kept in their garage? A set of spare keys. Theo may or may not have borrowed them. Lucas was pretty sure this was illegal. But when the door clicked open and they stepped inside, all thoughts of rules and consequences disappeared, because the inside of the clock tower was incredible. Inside the tower, Dust floated in the beams of sunlight filtering through the high windows. Wooden stairs spiraled upward, leading to the massive gears and pulleys that kept the town's time moving. Every few seconds, a heavy tick echoed through the space, as if the building itself was alive. Lucas stared in awe. "This is amazing." Emma grinned. "Told you." Theo stepped past them, glancing around. "All right, what exactly are we looking for?" Lucas pulled out the paper from the metal box. "Something stands still, but inside time keeps moving." Emma tapped the nearest wooden pillar. "This place stands still. The building hasn't changed in like 100 years. Lucas pointed toward the clock's inner workings. "And time keeps moving inside." Theo folded his arms. "So that means whatever we're looking for is somewhere inside the gears?" Emma hesitated. "Maybe?" Theo sighed. "Well, I hope one of you brought gloves, because that stuff is covered in grease." Lucas hadn't brought gloves, but he had brought determination. Taking a deep breath, he climbed the first set of stairs. And that's when he saw it. The hidden envelope. Tucked behind one of the heavy iron gears was a small brown envelope. Lucas's heart raced. "Guys," he whispered, "I found something." Emma and Theo scrambled up behind him as he carefully pulled the envelope free. It was old, the paper slightly crinkled from years of dust and time. On the front, written in faded ink, was one name, Peter Calloway. Lucas's breath caught. "PC." Emma's eyes widened. "This is it. This is him." Theo frowned. "Who the heck is Peter Calloway?" Lucas didn't answer. He was too busy opening the envelope. Inside was a letter, and as he unfolded it, his hands trembled. The truth about PC. The letter was written in careful, looping handwriting. "To whoever finds this, my name is Peter Calloway. I grew up in Maplewood, and this town was my whole world. When I was a kid, I wanted to leave behind something special, something that would remind people that adventure exists, even in small places. So I started this. The postcards, the clues, the hidden messages. I wanted to share my favorite places. The spots where time stands still, where you can see the town in a way most people never do. And if you found this, then that means it worked. The adventure lives on. Welcome to the Postcard Club." Lucas read the words twice, 3 times, his heart thundering. This wasn't just a game. It was a tradition. A legacy. Peter Calloway had started this decades ago, and now somehow they had become part of it. Emma whispered, "This is incredible." Theo for once looked speechless. Lucas swallowed. "So what do we do now?" Emma smiled. "Isn't it obvious?" Theo grinned. "We keep it going." The next clue. They left the clock tower buzzing with excitement. Lucas couldn't stop thinking about it. The Postcard Club. Peter Calloway had built something that had lasted for years. And now, it was their turn. Emma pulled out a fresh postcard from her bag. "We should leave a new clue." Lucas nodded. "Yes, something that'll make someone else feel what we felt." Theo smirked. "And something harder than those last clues. Those were too easy." Emma rolled her eyes. "They were not easy." Lucas grinned. For the first time since moving to Maplewood, he didn't feel like an outsider. He felt like he belonged. And as they sat down to write their first clue, he realized something important. This wasn't just about solving a mystery. It was about creating one. For the next person, for the next adventure, for the next chapter of the Postcard Club. The adventure lives on. The next morning, Lucas walked into the library and slipped a new postcard into the wooden drawer. On the front was a photo of Maplewood Park. On the back he wrote, "The past left something behind. Look where the old meets the new." Then he signed it with 3 letters, PC. Emma nudged him. "You ready?" Lucas smiled. Yeah, because this wasn't just his adventure anymore. It was theirs. And as long as someone was willing to keep looking, the adventure would never end. Thank you for joining us at Midnight Grove for the Postcard Club. Lucas's journey reminds us that adventure is everywhere. We just have to be willing to look for it. And sometimes the best discoveries aren't just about solving a mystery, but about the people we meet along the way. As you drift into sleep, may this story inspire you to seek out hidden wonders in your own world. Sleep well, and we'll see you next time for another exciting bedtime story.